IVM.
Hi,
You're
listening to IVM.
Daily.
Hi, I'm Priyanka and you're listening to IVM Daily. This is a show where we discuss current trending topics or anything that has caught our attention. So today I am actually going to talk to lawyer Amber Rana, who's also the host of one of our latest shows. It's called Know Your Kanoon, and this time we are picking on the landmark decisions that have come out this year, and we'll put forth what these decisions really mean and how they impact us as citizens. Amber, welcome to the show.
Hi Priyanka, good afternoon. Indeed a pleasure to be there with you.
Yes, so today we are talking to you about some of the landmark decisions made in 2018, and these decisions have come from the Supreme Court, and basically what is its impact on us, the citizens?
Yeah, I'll take it from there, Priyanka. So I'll just throw some light on some of the decisions. The law is evolving, every year, and our judiciary is becoming more proactive. So some of the major decisions have come out in 2018, and I think each of these decisions affect our lives in some way or the other. And the most important one being, I'll take you through these in detail with our, the next set of episodes which we have coming up shortly. But I'll give a small gist of what they are. So let's take them one by one.
Sure. So the first was, where privacy is a fundamental right. And this is also referring to the Aadhaar Act, because a lot of our information / data is meant to be linked to our Aadhaar accounts. And it's been debated for a really long time now. But some decisions were made sometime this year. So what do you think is the status right now, and according to the Personal Data Protection Bill 2018?
Yeah, so see the right to privacy in one of the recent judgments. There is a landmark judgment earlier, and I'm sure the lawyering community out there and law students out there would know that. So I'm just taking this in for the general public. Right to privacy in India was never recognized as an inherent right under the Constitution. All right. It was not given the same status as any other country has given it. And by right to privacy, what we mean is there is no interference in our personal lives. I have that amount of right and privacy to be left alone. Now, what is the reason behind this? The reason behind this is, prior to this judgment, there have been other judgments of Khadak Singh versus Union of India and, MP Singh, etc., where it was exactly held out that, where the state is proceeding against individuals, and they can go to any extent as far as to extract information. Now, there's a thin line of difference between, what is that extent and how it is there. The Supreme Court upholding that, your right to privacy is there, and in consequence to the Aadhaar Act, as we are talking, it tries to limit that power of the state. All developed nations around the country, if you check around the globe, are actually having the right to privacy recognized, and they stop at a point where it is not of a national consequence. The state does not interfere in detail. And the origin of this judgment initially is from MP Singh, wherein, a company was being shut down and arbitrary orders were given, and the accounts were scrutinized on accounts of, the accused person had embezzled some funds, and they were only on assumption basis, and he was thoroughly scrutinized. So in this current generation where we are active on social media and, we are there in domain,
Right.
There is no hiding of any of our details as such. Everything's in public.
Right.
Where do we put a stop to it? The government, by this judgment, has tried to put those stops in checks,
Right.
which I'll be taking up in detail with our next episode, in fact, coming up. So this is what they try to do. They're trying to limit out and lay down the procedures. We are saying, where can we stop this? There are instances where people have gone and got their Aadhaars linked, and it has been said that your Aadhaar is linked to 2,000 other numbers, or just to give you a fictional number, 100 other numbers, or whatever.
Right.
Which means there's a huge violation of your privacy. Everybody knows about you. So the government is trying to do that at one end. Secondly, through this judgment, the government is also trying to limit the powers of the state. Not limit, but lay a guideline as to where it can go and what is the process for the state to proceed towards any individual to respect that right to be left alone. And that is, I think, a very modern concept, and it would help any of us. So now you and I can stand and say, we have the right to privacy. Please do not breach, which happens in US all the time. You see, the police does not enter. We have the same procedures, but how much of them are applied in a case? We all know how it works. Like there, they can totally say that, give me the orders and see how you enter in. Like citizens defend their rights. So this is a stepping stone to that. And I'm sure our judiciary is evolving and it's completely following those procedures. So this is what right to privacy means here.
Okay. And you mentioned that things were different earlier and proceeding now, there are some changes that are being fought to meet. So where is this act heading towards? So
I think this act, there have been a lot of petitions filed, a lot of views being taken by high courts around the country, even at magistrate level and at high court level. There are a lot of different views being taken where they're saying that, okay, hold on, what we are doing, is it correct? Is the citizen being benefited out of it? The courts are trying to prescribe guidelines, and I'm sure it will see the light of the day that, now the act will have further amendments. You already know that Aadhaar now has not been, Supreme Court has said it's not mandatory, minusing or barring your income tax act for any other purposes, which earlier was being regulated that, your bank accounts have to be linked, your numbers have to be linked, telephone numbers. And the initial, you need to understand the initial aspect of it was to ensure that, equal food and grains and other such basic amenities being distributed to people if we have accountability of of our citizens, basically, right? That is why the act was made, and it took a different sway altogether in our country. But I think the act with these guidelines of right to privacy will also give certain rights to the individuals to prevent themselves from their identities being misused or their personal information being misused. And I think the act is going to evolve, and the government is brilliant on this. Whatever said and done, there are measures being taken, and that is what we see in these judgments that, ours is becoming a proactive judiciary, and it is indeed looking after these situations and catering to our fundamental rights.
Right. So you also mentioned that there's also this aspect of linking Aadhaar with income tax, right?
Yes.
So, and obviously that is okay. My previous conversation with you also, there has to be certain boundaries where this information is okay to be linked. But again, who decides that, and what are the implications of something like this? And why did this come up in the first place?
So see, what was happening in our country was this is basically, so coming to your question of the Income Tax Act, I think it's a brave move and it's a nice move. See, the government has right now shown, and I'm sure the courts have shown discretionary power, and also the proactive judicial system has been upheld here that, we are proactive with the modern times. They have made Aadhaar linking not mandatory for other aspects, as we were talking, but for IT, they've made it for a purpose. It implies a double check on an individual who's already filing returns. It's something which the parliament enacted under 139AA, if I'm not wrong.
Right.
And, it came into picture. So the main reason behind this was, this gives a better access to any individual sitting in the department, Googling it up or searching it up on the internet, and then linking of PAN, which means if your PAN is linked to your Aadhaar, it's much easier for me to determine your return and your details, right? There may be instances where your PAN and Aadhaar are not linked, and it's very difficult to determine those transactions. They were on the rise. So the revenue being hit in the country was huge.
Right.
And on account of which, to solve that situation, just to create a streamlined process where, every taxable individual, right, you might get wrongly taxed as well. Why are we looking at the cumbersome process of getting linked and always thinking that, the government is coming harsh on us? It is also a way where, sometimes you are wrongly assessed by income tax authorities. But if your details are linked thoroughly and they are interchanged, it's possible for them to track where the mistake is. So it just gives the income tax department a better and a speedier mechanism to, excavate and increase their speed of process of solving income tax issues. If somebody is evading it, somebody is following it. As far as legitimacy is concerned, neither is it violating Article 14 and 19 of the Constitution in any ways. The court has also interpreted the same. I think my linking of an income tax, account number or PAN number with the Aadhaar card does not cause me any harm as such. Neither are my financial details being, leaked, which we were disputing right now. But for that one purpose of revenue, I think it's a good move, because there has been an instance where, somebody wrongly assessed my income and issued a notice. Now, in that instance, what do? In those instances, you have the right to approach the department and mention that, this is linked. Please check. There is something wrong. So the foolproof system becomes 100%. So that's what we are trying to do. And I can understand the concerns of the citizens, including me. It was my concern that, if everything is linked and tomorrow there's a data leak online, what do I do?
Right.
Now, those guidelines are something which the government has possibly worked on and will be ruling out soon to ensure But as far as constitutional validity of it is concerned, the government is limiting the Aadhaar linking only to the IT Act for the sole purpose so that tax evasion is less. There is more corroboration between the statements given by people and what the department is interpreted. It is in way to smooth the interface between the both.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you also, so there's this gradual understanding of, whereas the check bouncing is concerned, and that can also be closed if the complainant is compensated, right? This was also something that came in through a bill, which meant that there would be quick prosecution, especially whereas check bouncing cases were concerned, and this was passed by the Lok Sabha in July this year. So what now again, what does this bill do, and how do we see its impact on the procedures as compared to before without it?
So what rightly the court has said, and also it has interpreted, it's a wonderful piece of legislation. How you see it has been enacted, but how procedurally it is being used by high courts across the country is something, which is completely understandable because each applies to different trick and trades. But unanimously, all courts have given a simplified procedure to it. Earlier, if I may say, the procedures were never wrong. It was just that they were a little lengthy. The main essence of this legislation was to give immediate relief to the complainant and to protect the right check provider, right? So let's say like you and me, let's take any citizen in this country who has rightfully done the right thing. He must not suffer. Right. So the act was not to be punitive, it was rather to be a remedial act to ensure that whoever is aggrieved gets the remedy in place fast. Now, to achieve that remedy, the procedure was a little cumbersome. I would say not cumbersome, a little lengthy, more detailed. Now the court is only prescribing, and these guidelines are only prescribing that if all your documentation is in place, whether it is the accused or whether it is the complainant, backlog of documentation, backlog of these cases in the country is increasing, and it is manifold a major issue for us today. A lot of tenants defaulting, a lot of people running away, not paying their checks. It is increasing, and to be able to prove that is getting really cumbersome because cases keep piling up. Because lack of certain things, the government is trying to simplify that procedure, and the court is trying to simplify that procedure by just mentioning that these are the basic guidelines which require, if the immediate documentation is ready, if the person who has done the default is willing to pay, then why must we wait towards the end of the whole proceeding and include the punitive amount into it? Like, to give you an example, if I have defaulted but I'm willing to pay during the proceedings my whole amount to you, in any case and at right stages, and I don't want the offense to become a compoundable offense, I would do it instantly. I would not wait towards the end of it for doing solved. So through these procedures, they are trying to cut down the litigation part of it. The right justice is met out. These procedures got simplified, and I'll be covering these procedures in detail in our next episode. As I mentioned earlier, all these three judgments we'll be seeing in detail. But this is just a quick update to ensure that, these procedures have been cut down. So all citizens of this country should read through this, because it really helps in a tenant and a landlord kind of a relationship where, now if somebody, you might not have defaulted by willingness, you might have defaulted by mistake. And somebody files a complaint against you, and it might happen. You're traveling abroad, this default happened, notice comes to you, defaulted for currently 3-4 months. A lot of instances, I would give benefit of doubt to everyone. And in that case, when this notice comes to you, you have to go through this whole litigation procedure. Everybody's getting embroiled in it. Why not solve it instantly? Why not make the procedure simplified? That is what the court is trying to do here. Just to save harassment to the person who is aggrieved and also to the person who's been accused of that.
Right. So this bill is basically, to get in some sort of regulation, and I think even the Minister of State for Finance, Shiv Pratap Shukla, was quoted saying that it's meant to sort of bring down litigation, as you also rightly said, and bring credibility to the banking system. Absolutely.
Because you see the amount of hit the bank has to take, the proofs, everything, each aspect of it. A litigation involves every small detail, right? The whole, every infrastructure, every portion of some independent body involved in this is getting embroiled into it. It's a long, cumbersome process. Why not help each of it to ensure efficiency? See, our courts are equipped with the best of possible, knowledge-oriented individuals, whether it is the lawyers or whether it is judges or whatever. we are there. It is just that the mechanism has to be a little more simplified to ensure that, the quickness happens. And that's what the court, even the High Court, has prescribed in the guidelines that, some of our high courts have given beautiful guidelines as to how we can simplify the procedure. And this is what this particular judgment by the Supreme Court has also enunciated and highlighted, that, we should employ these procedures as much as possible to ensure that, and hence the bill in Parliament. And that's what it is trying to do.
Right. Okay. So, Amber, thank you so much for being on the show with me.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
For all our listeners, this is also sort of a prelude to Amber's own show. It's called Know Your Kanoon, and it's out every Wednesday. It basically sort of decodes the Indian legal system, your laws, your rights for you, and answers questions. And you can reach out to Amber. Amber, where should they reach out to you?
They can reach out to me on contact@corpuslegal.in, my email ID, and I'll address all your queries there.
Okay, fine. Thank you so much, Amber.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.
Okay, so this was it for IVM Daily today. And you can reach out to us on IVM Podcasts on all our social media, be it Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And I am Priyanka. If you want to talk to me, you can reach out to me at Priyanka1091 on Twitter. That's it for now. Bye-bye.
Hello, I'm Chuck.
I'm Shriketh.
And I'm Naren.
And together we are the hosts of the podcast
Simplified.
And we are going to be doing a 100th episode, which is going to be a live episode at Dulali in Khar in Mumbai on the 25th of August 2018.
Yes, we should get the year right.
So we're going to be doing a lot of fun things at the show. We are going to be talking about some stuff, simplifying them. We're going to have a very erudite guest who's going to hopefully make up for our silliness, but we sincerely doubt it.
And there's definitely going to be a lot of beer, so we really hope you join us.
It'll be fun, and it'll be more fun if you guys are there. So do land up.
See you. Bye-bye.
Look! Up in the internet! It's a meme! No! It's a cat video! No! It's the Geek Fruit Podcast!
That's right, we interrupt this riveting broadcast to tell you about our show, the Geek Fruit Podcast, where Tejas, Dinkar and I, Jishnu, talk about everything in pop culture, including DC, Marvel, Star Wars, Netflix, and everything in between.
You know how your friends hate it when you ramble about some nerdy crap and you just want somebody to listen to you? Well, sorry, there's nothing we can do about that, but come listen to us ramble and it'll almost be like the real thing. Kind of.
Listen to new episodes of the Geek Fruit Podcast every Monday and the Geek Fruit Bulletin every Thursday on iTunes, Google Podcasts, the IVM app, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Happy listening, you nerds.